The following is a conversation with Logan Dubil. He is a Point Park University senior, aspiring journalist, and political content creator with 2 national news appearances. We sat down to discuss his Point Park experience, politics, the future of the conservative movement, and more. This is the Not Just Politics podcast. To support us, check out our page on the Say What Needs Saying network and our links for the social medias in the description. Enjoy. Can you tell me about your Point Park experience? Do you think Point Park's political atmosphere contributed to you being so public about the stances that you took? And do you think if the student body had been more open to constructive dialogue, that you wouldn't have been so public about your views?
Definitely yes to that last question. When I started coming here, I went in knowing that colleges tend to lean a little bit more liberal. So that's why I was a little bit quiet about my views. As soon as I started becoming a little bit more vocal about them and everyone on campus kind of knew, I had started seeing all of the backlash. Like I don't want to sound like dramatic here, but I didn't really even see any in between. It was all like, oh my gosh, there's an outspoken conservative on campus. So I was, receiving hate comments and DMs every day. I had people banging on my door in my dorm room freshman year. So just knowing that I was kind of alone was why I was so outspoken. Because like in my mind, I was like, if I didn't speak out, no one else would. And there wouldn't really be an equal opportunity for students on campus to, speak out if there wasn't at least one conservative voice on campus. So that's really, how I got involved with the Globe, writing conservative pieces for them and just being like outspoken in general.
Can you make the argument for and against Turning Point USA? Why should every college and university embrace political organizations across the spectrum?
Specifically for Turning Point or just all organizations?
Argument for and against Turning Point, and then as a follow-up, like why should colleges be embracing of a range of political views?
Well, Turning Point, I've had experiences with them, and my experiences alone have all been good. I think they do have a lot of opportunities, not only for conservative students, but students who want to get exposure to a different point of view. They also, allow very well-known speakers to come on campus and speak, and travel opportunities as well. So I think for students of all sides of the political spectrum, there are a lot of opportunities there. I know that they are sometimes a little bit controversial, not the organization itself, but some of the speakers they have. So that might be a reason why some universities are, weary about having that on their campus, or some other organizations or students maybe feel a little bit uncomfortable with that. But I don't really see anything wrong with, people being uncomfortable. I think that it's okay to be uncomfortable a little bit, and I think it's good to get exposure to different sides. And I guess that would just lead into the second point. Like me being a conservative, I have no problem with there being a Young Democrats, Socialists, or whatever that club is. I think every student on campus should have somewhere where they can go with like-minded people, and I also think that students should have an opportunity to have a different point of view on campus as well.
Are universities succeeding at that job of providing healthy spaces for political dialogue on their campuses and making sure those spaces are accessible?
I would say most campuses are. I'm not really sure about this campus because as of now, we don't really have many options. And from what I've heard, there has been issues in the past with starting political organizations on campus. But a lot of the campuses that I've come across do have clubs on both sides, and they're bringing in speakers from both sides of the political spectrum. So I would say that most campuses don't really have a problem with that, but I think Point Park would specifically need to work on kind of fixing that.
If the administration and SJ was in this room and you had to pitch a Turning Point USA chapter to them, what would you say?
Probably going back to what I said earlier about Turning Point is that it's not only providing a voice and a space for conservative students on campus, but it also exposes students to a different point of view that they may not be exposed to on a daily basis. From when I've started here, all I've seen is, liberal students being outspoken, and even working with the Globe, I've noticed that a lot of the opinion pieces that go through there are liberal, and that the writers themselves tend to have liberal stances on things. So I just think Turning Point would be a way to kind of, bridge the divide a little bit and make the campus a little bit more neutral rather than just left leaning.
I agree. I think that, with running the Bridge USA Club, I told you this. I can't find conservative students on campus. I don't know where they are, so I can't invite them to discussions. And then on the other side, we don't even have a Democrats club or a Socialist club, so I don't know where anybody really is. And it's really hard to recruit people. I think that this campus would benefit a lot from something like that, definitely.
Well, that's like when I started being outspoken about my views, and I started kind of receiving like public, backlash from members of this community. I did have students who are conservative. There aren't, I don't want to say there are a lot of them, but there are definitely more than you probably think. Reaching out saying, I just want to let you know I'm conservative, thank you for, standing up for different values on campus. They even told me that they still aren't comfortable speaking out about certain things, and I don't blame them from everything that I've experienced so far. I wouldn't want anyone else to have to experience that themselves. But there definitely are conservatives on campus, and any way to make them feel more comfortable, I think, is something that this university should be taking a step towards.
Yeah, I don't know if this perspective is accurate, but to me it seems like if you don't give those students a place on campus where they can at least meet and get things off their chest, like what they're feeling, that's not going to cause anybody to become less radicalized. That's going to do the opposite. Those ideas don't go away. People are just going to hold it inside of them, and then they're going to go somewhere else where they feel validated, and that could be anywhere, and that could be a place where people are legitimately saying hateful things or dangerous things, even that's a little bit of a slippery slope. I see what you see. And I just think that you have two choices. Like, conservatives on this campus aren't going to go away. You can either invite them to the table, give them a spot, and you can challenge their ideas. You can have your ideas challenged. Everybody can learn a little bit of something, or you can do what they did with you in a way. Like, you could push them away, and then you wonder why you have, like, in your views, radical people on campus.
Yeah.
Like, it seems to make sense to me, but maybe it's not that obvious.
Well, I've had so many people reach out to me after, my appearance on Fox, and they're like, why do you still go to this school if you're receiving so much backlash? And it's like, well, I'm not going to school to please everybody. I'm not going to this school for everybody to agree with what I have to say. I'm going to the school to get an education. For me, this was a financially viable option, which is one of the reasons I love being in the city. I think there's a lot of opportunities as a marketing and sales major. If I go that route, I think that there are a lot of opportunities in Pittsburgh. If I go the journalism reporter route, obviously wherever work takes me is where I'll be headed. But so many people are like, why don't you just leave? And it's like, that's not like politics isn't the point of going to college. And then the other thing I was worried about is, it's just going to follow me wherever I go. Like, any institution I go to is going to be the same thing over again. I think I'm lucky that I was at a smaller place, because I feel like things could have been a lot worse if I was at Pitt or if I was at Penn State. Just knowing the class size difference alone, I think it would have been a little bit worse. But
that's true. You also possibly would have had more people that would have backed you up.
True.
Though.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot of people at Point Park. Pitt is 30 times the size or something like that. It's crazy how much bigger Pitt is. How can journalistic integrity be maintained while navigating our complex political landscape?
That's tricky, because I think journalism definitely has shifted from what it used to be. I would say that would be more from a leadership or like editor stance. Just making sure that when you're running said paper that you're giving both sides, the benefit of the doubt, and making sure that kind of coverage on both sides is a little bit equal. That goes for, if you look at the major ones like CNN, obviously that's left leaning. Fox obviously is right leaning, which they have a right to take stances on certain things.
course.
But I think that all of them overall should probably do a little bit better job covering both sides, because I think that would kind of restore the trust in the media a little bit more.
Absolutely.
And that would kind of solve the division problem that we have right now alone.
Yeah, I think that would definitely help. Shout out to All Sides. Do you know what All Sides is?
I don't.
That's it. I think you'd like it then. It's a media company. They give you like they give you right, left, and center on the same story, 3 articles in one place, and you get to read through
Yeah,
it.
see, I don't know why more people wouldn't.
I have a couple
take that approach.
I have a couple friends that work there. It's great, and and they give like biasy ratings and stuff like that too. I think it's good, and I try to go there as much. I really should go there for more stuff. I also just don't follow the news that often, just because. It's a way to ruin.
I get mine from Twitter and stuff. Like I don't turn on people just think I wake up and turn on Fox and just watch it like 24 hours straight. Like that's not what happens.
Well, if Twitter's your news source, you might be running out of time.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's got the ticking time bomb over there with Twitter. Oh man,
it's a mess.
It is,
especially what happened yesterday.
Oh, we're not even gonna get into that. Okay, what are your thoughts on Trump's announcement to run for president in 2024? With at least a portion of his party seemingly rejecting him and viewing DeSantis as a new face or direction for the party, what does that mean for the future of the conservative movement?
Yeah, I think everyone knew it was coming. I just didn't think he was going to announce this quickly.
Really?
I was a little bit nervous that he was going to announce when the midterms didn't even finish yet, because he was kind of setting that up in his Ohio rally, which was the day before the midterm election.
Yeah.
And that I would have been so pissed off if he did that, like taking away the spotlight and the focus off of the candidates who are running and making it about himself, which he already did, because it's it was just Trump rallies with guest speaker, the candidate running in that state. Like it should have been the other way around. So he made the whole midterms about himself, and I think that kind of hurt him a little bit. And then him announcing his candidacy the week after midterms were done, when Republicans didn't really perform as well as we thought we would.
Yeah.
I don't think that was smart, a smart move for him. I am Team DeSantis right now. I think that he not only has a better shot of winning, but that he might be able to get kind of maybe more of the moderates or more of the liberals who don't think that their party represents them anymore, which is good, that again, bridging the divide that we have in this country right now. I don't even think DeSantis is my first option, but I would pick him over Trump in a heartbeat.
Gotcha.
Now, if Trump's the nominee, I'm going to probably vote for him, but I would prefer him not to be our nominee.
So where does Donald Trump fit in that new political landscape then? Assuming that
it's just such a mess right now.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Assuming okay, so let's say there's a bit of a fallout with him and the party in 2024. He doesn't get the nomination. I mean, he insulted DeSantis.
Yeah,
was that?
I was there. I was there live. I was there when he said that live. Like I was at that rally.
Was that the day before the election?
That was 2 days before, because he did. He was in Pittsburgh, and then he went to Ohio, and then it was the election.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I was like, I looked over at the friends I was with, and I was like, what did he just say? I was like, did I miss something? Ron DeSanctimonious.
Listen, Trump's good at making funny names for people. That one sucks.
Yeah, awful.
It's not even funny.
I was like, did I miss, are they beefing right now? Yeah. Like, did I miss something? Like, what's going on?
I didn't know that they were beefing for the longest time, and then it turns out they are. And that's such a weak name for him. Like, Trump could have come up with something better.
And then after the midterms were over, Trump put something on Truth Social about him getting more votes than DeSantis did. And I'm like, why are you stirring the pot right now? So, I mean, he must know something. I mean,
he is better at that than most people. Yeah. He likes to do that. Yeah. So I wasn't surprised, but I actually was kind of surprised because I didn't think they'd be beefing like that. And
especially like going back to like me being worried that he was announcing and stealing the show from him. Like that's just causing trouble when
You need everybody to be
exactly,
on
exactly.
one page.
No, I was confident that DeSantis was going to win re-election, but that's, you don't need to start drama a couple of days before the midterms,
especially
because
in hindsight, because Republicans underperformed so severely based on what they predicted they were going to do.
Yeah.
So what's your dream GOP presidential ticket in 2024?
I haven't really put much thought into a vice president, but someone like Glenn Youngkin.
Okay.
I think he's a little bit more middle ground. A lot of the things he does stand for do obviously lean to the right, but I think overall he is a little bit more of a likable guy overall. He has gotten quite a few things done already, and he's not as controversial. So I think that, like I said earlier, getting the moderates, getting people from the left would be probably a little bit easier. Same thing goes with DeSantis compared to Trump. I think that he would be a little bit more likable, but I know that there are a lot of people who hate DeSantis too. I haven't heard any I hate Glenn Youngkin people out there, so that would be ideal, but I'm not sure if he'd be able to pull it off. But that would be I'm not sure who would.
So if I'm saying if Glenn Youngkin, you don't think he could pull off vice president?
He could probably pull off vice president.
Okay.
But if he was running for president, in my mind, I think that that's doable. But then when I look at, oh wait, other people have to vote, then it's like maybe he wouldn't be able to win. But I personally think that someone like Glenn Youngkin would be able to perform a little bit better and be a little bit less controversial, and there be less arguments and stuff during the debates and things like that.
Who is the Democratic Party's best option to most accurately represent their base, or their many bases?
I was gonna say
they have 4, I think.
I can't stand this person. I was gonna say AOC, but you said represent the base, and I don't think she represents the Democratic Party. She represents a segment of the party, but I don't think that everyone in the Democratic Party is kind of that far left right now. So I'm not sure if that would be the best answer. I'm
curious what you think about this. So this might be kind of obvious, but I think the one thing that the Democrats have going against them is that they have so many different people under their umbrella, for lack of a better term. Like the conservatives have, you have the evangelical right, you have like the fiscally conservative people, the right-leaning libertarians. They're mostly on the same page with everything. The libertarians might disagree a little bit with the religious people on like government level stuff, but Trump was able to pull everybody together really well and kind of consolidate that. And I don't really think that the Democrats had anybody that, I think Barack Obama might have done that fairly well. But that was also back in 2008 and 2012.
Yeah.
It's a lot different now. I mean, both the parties are
a lot different.
So I'm just curious. I'm wondering like if they even, like I don't even know if they have anybody that can represent, because you have to get the Bernie people, and then you have to get the Joe Biden voters, and then you have to get, so you have a lot of different groups of people you have to pull together.
I'm not sure if you feel this way, but from what I've seen over the past couple of years, I think that the Democratic Party is probably a little bit too focused on like representation. Not that that's a bad thing, but I think that that's how they select their candidates and their representatives.
The identity politics thing.
Which I don't think should be someone's. I don't want to say it's their top priority, but even when like Biden chose Kamala Harris as his running mate, like he said, I am specifically selecting a woman of color.
Yeah.
If he just selected her without saying anything, that would be huge. But like, I feel like that's such a slap in the face. Like him saying, yes, this is the category I'm selecting from. Oh, let's select you. Like if I were her, I'd just be like, oh, well, I probably wasn't your top choice overall, but since you narrowed the category down a little bit, now I'm an option. But like even someone like her running next year, like her approval rating isn't that high. So that wouldn't even be a viable option for the Democratic Party.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about the race hire, for lack of a better term. I do sort of agree with you that it does feel like you didn't really have to say it.
Yeah.
You probably could have just picked her and people would have said, great, cool.
Yeah.
They're going to vote for her or they're not. You could also make the argument, though, I'm sure that those people should have been represented in government a long time ago, and they were not.
Yeah.
So that's something, I guess. But so I'm not really super sure about that.
It's really cool to see the country make progress. Obviously, I can't wait for the first female president, hoping that if she's a Republican, I think that would be hilarious because I'm constantly called anti-woman and stuff like that, and I'd gladly vote for a woman president. But yeah, I think that like announcing it beforehand and making it known that you are specifically choosing someone because of traits of theirs that they have no control over. I think that that's not the way to go about things, and that's kind of took a downfall looking at her approval rating and things like that.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had to send a message to Gavin quick. Yeah, and that's a whole thing. I mean, that's a whole other conversation. I would also vote for a woman president.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind. I mean, I don't know necessarily if I don't have any like picks in the moment. I'm not like a super big. Like I'm not like I like Tulsi Gabbard. Like I'm not a super big fan, but I'm not like I'm just kind of like in the middle with her. Because she seemingly made like a pretty big shift. So I don't really have a problem with that, but yeah. So I don't really know what I would do in that situation.
From the like Kristi Noem maybe, but I like from the.
You know a lot more of these people than I do. I don't really keep track of individuals.
I just know that she's taken that I know the people of her state like her. I don't know if she can get the whole country behind her, but I think that would probably be the top female candidate to come to mind if one were to become the nominee. And I would gladly vote for her. But I don't want the Republican Party to be like, okay, let's push a woman as the nominee. Like just let it naturally happen, and it will be so much more of an accomplishment if it was all a natural process. But
do you think that can actually happen?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think it has to be the right person, and I think that specifically choosing people because of their gender, I think that that's kind of downplaying the historic moment that could be. So I just think that it should naturally happen and not be forced, because that. I mean, it's one thing for someone to just win, like the first female president, or both parties are just going to put a female and one of them's going to win, so obviously it's going to be a female. Like I just think it should be something that happens, not work to make it a non-legit thing.
I was too young, so I can't really remember, but from what I do remember, I don't remember the Democratic Party pushing Barack Obama as the first black president. I
don't think either, which is why I think that was such a
he walked
big
on the
deal.
stage and he said things that people liked, and he won the votes. So that's, I can certainly see someone making that argument. Yeah. Okay, so then situationally, what has to happen for you to vote Democrat?
I mean, if Kanye West is the Republican nominee, I will gladly vote Democrat. I probably just a very extreme candidate. I have no problem voting the other way, but it only has to be because the person running doesn't represent me well.
Gotcha.
And looking back, I didn't vote in 2016 because I couldn't. 2020, I voted Trump. Yes, he does certain things I don't agree with, but I didn't consider him, or I still don't really consider him extreme. Yeah, but if someone spewing all of this nonsense and stuff, like, yes, maybe some of the fiscal policies I agree with, but I don't want someone like that representing me or being in charge of the country. Yeah. So if it was a very extreme candidate, I would gladly vote moderate or Democrat.
So you said you would vote for a woman president. What if it was someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene?
See, that gets a little tricky because she's pushing the extreme side, and there are rumors about her being Trump's vice president.
That's how he loses.
Yeah,
that's how the Republicans lose. I think
he's already asking to lose by the way that he's running things now, and that would just be kind of the everyone's done with Trump kind of thing. But his base, like his diehard supporters, I feel like that would strengthen their reason to exactly.
I think they love her.
Because I went to America Fest last year, and she was one of the speakers there, wow. And I didn't know that she was a speaker. And when she walked out on the stage, I was like, really? And then Lauren how is her name? Bobert? Lauren?
I'm not sure.
She's part of the conservative squad, they call it.
Oh, okay.
And she's a little bit extreme too, and she was there, and I was like, I did not think that I did not think that they would be here.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy.
I don't think I would vote for her.
I would not be voting for her either. No, it's so funny. We had a couple episodes that didn't air because we had technical issues.
Yeah.
One was them on Zoom, and Zoom kept kicking us out and everything. And I made all these. Yeah, again, I'm not claiming to like be an expert, but I was making predictions about the midterms, which were all wrong. All of them were wrong. But the one thing I have been saying is that if Trump picks Marjorie Taylor Greene, or if DeSantis does, that's how they lose.
Yeah.
I think Biden-Harris probably beats them if it's Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Which shows you how bad that ticket is, because not a lot of people are happy with the Biden-Harris ticket right now.
No, that's
so
an insane
for
ticket.
that same ticket to win again, Republicans need to ensure that their ticket is
But then
better
again,
than what we've been talking about.
that's what people were saying for the midterms. They were like, how do you guys possibly mess this up?
Yeah.
So I guess it is possible, but I think that would be pretty difficult.
The Republican Party definitely had some wins where they didn't expect it. Like New York, I heard that they did pretty well. Obviously there's not a Republican governor, but that race was a lot closer than people thought it was going to be, especially for New York. So there definitely is traction in some places. Obviously in Pennsylvania we did awful.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just interesting to see that kind of happen over the country. So it definitely sets signals for what needs to be done in 2024. And I think that Republicans need to shift their focus off some things onto other things. And I think we should have no problem winning the presidency, but it just depends on like if we have a Trump ticket, he is going to use the "Let's Go Brandon." I think people just need to drop the attacking the character and work on advertising what they've, because I think Trump's done a lot over his 4 years in the office. So I think that if he was focusing on his accomplishments and not attacking the left, he'd have a better chance of winning. But I don't think he's going to do that.
Yeah, sorry, I just heard we're gonna have to cut, get a new SD card, and then jump back in. At some point, Gavin will let us know when, but we're running out of storage, so I'm sorry about that,
No,
folks.
you're good.
But it is what it is. We'll have a new SD card at some point to make that not be a problem. So I'm curious. So you worked with Dr. Oz on his campaign, or you do volunteer?
I was volunteer. Yeah, I wasn't an official staffer.
Right. Yeah, I guess you were
but
volunteering.
I went to one of the events and we were really early. And one of my friends works on the campaign and he was there. I didn't think he was going to be there. So I got talking to him and he was like, well, since you guys are early, like if you can volunteer, that would be a great help. So I was able to kind of see how that event kind of went down. And it was a really cool experience.
Can you, because I'm genuinely curious, because I followed Fetterman a little bit going into the midterm because I felt like he represented me a little bit better. I didn't really follow anything with Oz. And I'm just genuinely curious about this. What is it about him that conservatives liked?
I mean, I think that the Conservative Party right now, I mean, kind of going along the lines with like what Trump was, obviously people who are well known but not a lifetime politician, I think is what is starting to happen with the
Trump formula.
Republican Party. So I think that was one of the reasons, which I think like not even Republicans but everyone can get behind. Like I don't think that anyone's opposed to voting in someone who's not a lifelong politician.
I would agree with you. I don't know what the general consensus is, but I would definitely agree with you.
Yeah. Now, obviously, they have to have some sort of experience with. I mean, the bare minimum would be like public speaking, like being able to present yourself well in front of an audience. So I think that's definitely one thing. I didn't really keep up with the primaries too much, but I know that McCormick, he was running against Oz in the primaries.
Yes.
I know that he had a lot of, like, I from what I remember, that race was really close.
It was very close. I think I remember it was off by like a couple percentage points. It was very close.
And looking back, I think that Oz shouldn't have been the nominee. But since he was, it was like, okay, we need to back this candidate, especially from what who he was running against. I think that it was important to back him. But yeah, I would just say that he was a well-known guy. Obviously has done a lot with his life so far. and he was able to present himself really well. Even in the debates, I was expecting that debate to be a yelling match between them, and I think that it wasn't that. I think that Oz was able to answer the questions really well and kind of defend his stances. So I just think that overall he was a guy who wanted change in Pennsylvania and for the country. So I think that that's why he probably got a little bit more support than I thought. Well, I thought he was gonna win, but he didn't. But I think that when he was first announced as the nominee, I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go. But I think it was a lot closer than I thought it would have been. Like looking back to when all of that first started.
Our political culture is seemingly dominated by tribalism and polarization. In that context, what is the case for and against any and all political ideologies? How do we weigh the pros and cons of ideology?
Interesting.
And I guess by ideology, I mean, like, I kind of call it like the package deal. It's like, I feel this way about X issue, so therefore I feel X about this way about all these other issues. It's like having to jump on the train.
So you're talking about more like focusing on the issue rather than the party? Is that kind of where you're going with that question?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like, by ideology, I guess I mean, so for example, if someone is conservative, maybe they are pro-life, and then maybe they don't exactly feel this way, but then they say they're capitalist because they have to go along with the party, and then maybe they're religious, and like it keeps.
That's something that I don't like. I don't know. We will eventually get away from that. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, just because of how divided we are. I've told people that I'm conservative before, and obviously, and they immediately assume that I support XYZ. And it's like, if we are going by that mentality, there's going to be no in between. Which obviously, I don't think that we're going to have a Green Party or third party candidate as president in my lifetime because of how divided we are. I don't think that people can look outside of their party and vote on the issue. And I think that would probably be the first step, focusing on, the issue, not the candidate or the party. But there are a lot of things from the left that I would say that I agree with. I would just say, prioritizing which issue matters most to you. That's probably going to be the way that you vote. For me, it's going to be things like gun control, First Amendment, the economy, things like that. So obviously the candidate that I think would best, tackle those situations is going to be who I'd vote for, which in my mind tend to be the Republican candidates, which is why I haven't voted for a Democrat since I've been able to vote, because I think that the Republican Party handles those better. But then there are issues like gay marriage, where a lot of people think that I'm anti-gay marriage. I don't agree with it morally. But I don't think that the federal government should have a say in who you are and aren't allowed to marry. So, I mean, there are issues that I will take different stances on. But if we're going by the mentality that, you support this, then you must support everything that party stands for, I don't think that's the way that things should be.
So do you think you would ever drop the label of conservative? Because I dropped labels a long time ago. I don't tell anybody that I am any particular party. I would tell people on guns, I'm more conservative. On abortion, I'm more liberal, or whatever. Even though my mind isn't really made up on those things entirely, I don't give myself a label anymore.
And I think labels are where it gets tricky. I do refer to myself as conservative, but I definitely think that what you just said would be a good first step in kind of balancing things out a little bit. Maybe giving yourself a label for specific issues, but not like overall I am this. It's I take this stance on this issue, I take that stance on that issue. I think is a better way to kind of look at things.
It seems to me like that would be a better way to do it, because then that doesn't put you in a box right away.
Yeah.
Because you could look at somebody. I mean, I know Gavin's told me stories about where he's from. It's like he's in State College area, and it's pretty 50-50, and you have it's not really like what you'd think it would be. And there's, I imagine, a lot of people that might vote party line, but that don't really feel like that's the right thing for them to do, but they don't have another option, or they feel like there's pressure.
Well, where I went to high school, it's kind of like Philadelphia area, not in the city, more suburb, but it was pretty 50-50 there. And I took a government class, and every single class we had a debate on a topic. So he would tell you the day before, you would kind of prep the best you could. And it wasn't Republicans go on this side, liberals go on that side. It was, if you take this stance on the issue, go on that side. If you take this stance on the issue, go on this. So it was cool to see that people were comfortable switching sides every other class, depending on what the issue was, not the same people on each side, screaming at each other. So I think that was a really cool experience. But going from that to coming to Point Park and seeing the atmosphere here, it's completely different.
I would love to see Point Park do something like that. I would love to, because I think that, well, I'm not sure if people would be comfortable enough to actually step to the other side of the room against the crowd, but I think it would be really cool if they did something.
No, but it was even like we were talking about, like there were some days where the topic may not have been, a big thing, but there were other days where we were talking about controversial, abortion, gun
Heavy
control,
stuff.
and people were, respectful of each other. Sometimes it got heated, but it wasn't like someone was screaming at each other. It was like someone was very passionate about their side, and I think that we need more of that. But from what I've experienced here, it is those yelling battles, and I've taken part in that too, where there's no point in trying to tackle this civilly because I'm not going to get that back. So there are times where I kind of cross the line and go into name calling and attacking.
Yeah.
But I think everybody should do a better job at taking a more civil approach to talking about politics. And I would hope that would be something that everyone would agree on.
So while we're on the topic of, we talked about labels a little bit. It seems to me like they reduce our character down to a single word, can be pretty easily dismissed. You can really give yourself a reason in your brain to not listen to somebody because they're a Democrat or they're pro-choice or whatever, that kind of thing. What are the benefits of labels in that context, and what are how is it a detriment to our discourse?
Maybe just for like a context standpoint, that would be a benefit. It just gives me an idea on where you stand. Obviously, you like if you were to use the term Democrat, I'm not going to, be like, oh, socialist.
Yeah.
But that it at least gives me a starting point to partake in discourse with you. But then going back to that socialist thing I just said, that would be a downfall, because I know that there are people who I'm friends with who hear the word Democrat and they automatically think socialist. And looking at the other side, I've been called, Nazi before and stuff like that. So it's crazy. Like labels ensue assumptions, and I think that's what the issue is.
Sorry about that. I need to make sure we're not running over the time with the SD card. Okay. So can you give me a critique of the conservative movement?
I would say our priorities are a little bit off. I kind of touched upon this earlier, but I think that when looking at campaigning and even just showcasing what the party's about, I think that we should be focused more on accomplishments. I think that we have been able to do a lot in the past, and if we're focusing on that rather than, attacking I guess from a 2024 standpoint, we need to not attack the current administration, but show pride in things that we've been able to accomplish over the past several years. I think that would be something that we kind of lack at right now. But if that were to change, I think that the Republican Party overall would maybe even be a little bit more respected, and people would be more comfortable and willing to identify with the party and vote for the party. So that would be great to see change.
I have a classmate that's from the Netherlands, and she said when they run political ads, the entire basis of the ad is, here's what I can do for you and here's what I'm going to do. They don't even mention
that does not literally the first words in the campaign ads are the opponent. So it's like the opponent's name should not be in the ad whatsoever. Maybe if you're, hyping yourself up a little bit and then you just mention what the other person's stance is, that's fine. But I don't I didn't even see any of that
No, I saw none of
during
that.
this election cycle.
Every single ad that I saw was horrible.
Yeah,
they
awful.
were all awful, and none of them were skippable on YouTube. And
Yeah.
I'm still upset about that because
And they
had to
come
sit
up
there.
every. If you're watching a long YouTube video, that's you're seeing the same ad maybe 5-6 times.
Yeah,
So
I
it's,
watched those long podcasts, and I would get 4 of the same John Fetterman ad in one 3-hour video.
and especially being in Pennsylvania, I think everyone already knew who they were going to vote for, so it wasn't like it was doing anything. It wasn't like it was swaying anybody.
Yeah, I mean, we had the damn circus over here with ours. I mean, it
It's
was just
crazy. Well, it's funny because like when I think about like living in Pennsylvania, I don't think it's much, but then you realize like during election time, like it's
important
a
over
pretty
here.
big deal. Like
Yeah,
I a couple months ago, I went to a media training in North Carolina, and I turned on the news, and it was like I was in North Carolina, and the news was all about Pennsylvania. So it's like we
Yeah.
are a mess.
Yeah, it was not great. Well, I think I can agree with you on the critique of the conservative movement. I think that priorities, I think that the Democrats can do that too, though. I think that in general, our political incentives are really out of place, and I think that we would have to have a discussion on what the priorities should be. But that discussion,
Yeah.
I don't even think that discussion's happening at the moment.
And I even like what I said about the conservative movement, I think could be applied to the left too. Like the
Absolutely.
only phrases
Yeah.
I hear from Joe Biden is MAGA extremist. All of those heavy words
Yeah,
that
I
really
didn't-
don't have much meaning. In my opinion, I think that he should focus more on what his administration has done. Personally, I don't think that they've done much, but I think that should be the approach.
Yeah, I think that I don't like when he says stuff like that, because even though he is technically making the distinction,
But like, what
you
does that mean?
You still had 80 million. Well, you still what 70+ million people that voted for Donald Trump.
Are you
and-
saying that every single person who didn't vote for him, like
I don't
he's
know if
labeling as an
necessarily saying
extremist?
that. I think there is definitely a collection of the conservative movement that is not MAGA.
Yeah.
I believe those people exist. So in a way, he is saying that it's the MAGA Republicans. So he is making that distinction, but for a guy that's running on unity, it doesn't necessarily.
It's not much unity. Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily seem like something that I would do in that position. But then again, I haven't been in. I've heard that DC changes people in many ways, and it could easily turn me into that person. It is a little discouraging though, especially from my perspective with wanting to do all that I can to try to heal the wounds.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily seem like something that I can get behind.
And there was that really bizarre speech he gave where he had that red backdrop and it was like creepy, and he said MAGA Republican extremist like 10 times.
Yeah, well, I also think that's something is like whenever you use the word so much,
It doesn't mean anything.
the word doesn't mean anything anymore. Yeah.
Which sucks because there are extremists out there.
Mm-hmm.
The names I've been called, I'm none of the above. But throwing
Mm-hmm.
those words around because you don't agree with someone or you don't like someone really negates the problem that is associated with that word.
Yeah, and we've talked about this. That's why I'm not really a huge fan of the right throwing around radical socialist agenda.
No,
Whenever
exactly.
I say that,
Because
like,
I have so many friends that vote
doesn't-
Democrat and they don't agree with socialism at all.
I
So
have-
it's like
I have plenty of-
generalization.
yeah, I have plenty of family members who, keep in mind, are like old school liberal, but like still are like in favor of capitalism, and they are liberal or
Yeah.
something. And like, it's not. I think everybody does it, and I don't think that it's helpful.
It's funny though because my dad's a big Bernie guy, so people assume that I'm conservative because of my parents, and they don't talk to me about it, so they don't get the answer to that. But like
Yeah.
I wasn't raised like, oh, you need to believe this. I actually came about all of this by myself. I wasn't involved with politics until Trump won. And that wasn't even like me supporting Trump. Oh yeah, he won. Like I realized he won. I was like, oh, he obviously won for a reason. Like I didn't think he was going to, just because all I was hearing was bad things about him. But doing your own research and being open minded, will guide you to the way that you end up being at.
And a lot of the political, and again, I this is from what I've heard. I mean, Jordan Peterson talks about this sometimes, is that political leaning can largely be attributed to personality type.
Yeah.
So in a way, and I think that's why you have a lot of students that are raised in a conservative household. They go to college, they maybe become liberal. It's like, I think that's maybe because they get exposed to a new atmosphere where they are able to express that part of their personality a little more freely. And I think it goes the other way as well. I think that that's kind of why that happens.
Yeah.
And being raised, and even if your parents, didn't necessarily tell you like this is how you have to think, I'm sure you maybe got some stuff of that. Did you get any little bits of that left leaning from
I'm gonna
them?
say no. Because my dad has been very open about him disagreeing with my things. My mom also told me that she's voted Democrat for a while and didn't vote Republican until I got involved with politics. So I never really was exposed to any conservative stances growing up. I think I kind of did my own research, exposed myself to both sides, and I started to realize that I did lean a little bit more conservative. And I think I actually, me being open and giving that perspective is what kind of shifted my mom towards this side. My dad, I don't think there's really any budging with him, but I kind of was like a self-explored.
Yeah, you figured it out on your own.
Yeah.
I mean, I went through a phase where I was really conservative about like my sophomore and junior year of high school, and then during my senior year, I kind of fell out of it because it didn't really make sense to me, and neither did a lot of the stuff that the left was saying. And then I sort of got to Point Park, not really knowing what I thought. I just knew that a lot of the stuff that I was hearing people say at Point Park made me pretty upset. And not because of what they were saying, but just the tactics and the way they were saying it. The large generalizations of an entire half of the country doesn't seem like something to me that is going to solve any problems.
And that's why it's so important for there to be, equal sides in the higher education realm, because there are people who grow up with their parents pushing their views on them. And if they don't have exposure to both sides coming into, them being an individual, then they're kind of either stuck with what they've grown up with, or they are just shifted to the other side. So there has to be balance. So I mean, I'm glad I didn't, I wasn't raised in a household where they're like, this is what we believe, like this is how you're going to grow up. But for people who do experience that, they need to be exposed to both sides in college to be able to make up their own minds about things.
I would imagine there's some benefit to that. Well, so I make an active effort to stay away from echo chambers, and I surround myself with people that I politically disagree with on a daily basis. Do you stick to that? And what's the benefit?
I try to. There aren't many people who... I mean, I would consider you a friend. And we don't agree on everything, which I don't see anything wrong with that.
Absolutely not.
Everyone else that I have, come in contact with here in the past who I was friends with, they... most of them don't follow me on social media anymore, blocked me on Snapchat, all of that stuff. So it's kind of hard for me to
get that.
Yeah, to have friends from both sides. But I see nothing wrong with it. I think that everyone should have. I don't really like if you're looking at like relationship standpoint, like going into marriage. I do think that your values should align a little bit. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm going to marry someone who's 100% dedicated to the causes that I agree with. But when it comes to friends, unless they're, very extreme and spewing all this nonsense, I don't think that there should be a reason for you to not be friends with someone because of their views.
I agree. And I was going to say something. I forget what I was going to say. I was going to say, I think you should check out Bridge USA then, because you could definitely find some people there. You could find some people there, definitely, that you could become friends with. I think that if you wanted to look for more of those people, I mean, I know a couple. Yeah. I know a decent number, and I think you would like it. Just because you can go to that place and you can have a discussion with people, and it can get heated, you can be passionate. We like that. Yeah. But as long as you can leave still being friends and understanding each other. I think that's an
And
important thing.
I don't mind people getting heated about things. Like
Neither do I.
if you're passionate, like all to you.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I really ask is for you, like if you're going to, claim things and push stuff, that you can just defend it. And as long as we can have a conversation where we're not just yelling at each other, and that we're actually providing or like taking part in like an intellectual discussion, then I'm cool with like whatever you believe in, as long as you're passionate about it and that you can defend your claims. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, and I think it's the one thing that's also important is that we don't attack people's character. You can attack ideas all day.
Yeah, of course.
That's the point. I think there's some beauty in that, and there's a benefit to really getting pushed back on your ideas. My dad's really good at doing that with me, and I really do appreciate when he does it. It drives me crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
But I need that. So should we have a playful, in quotes, approach to politics? In other words, has our political culture become a little too serious and preachy and anger driven? And why should we be focused on cultivating understanding with each other?
Well, because I just think the way that the political climate is right now, I think the word you use, serious, would be a perfect way to describe it. I just don't think that politics should be 100% of your life. I mean, obviously, if you are going into politics, that's understandable. But I think it's become, we've gotten to the point where politics is such a big deal that that's all we talk about. And I think that's why there are so many issues. Because, if you're talking to someone and you find out that you don't agree with them, I mean, there becomes problems there. And I think that they could be avoided if we weren't just so serious about everything.
Yeah. We're going to do a quick cut, and then we'll be back. How do you handle the criticism that you get? Does the hate ever get to you?
Yeah, it does. My freshman year, it was a little bit rough just because I was still relatively new to the campus. When I started, experiencing backlash firsthand, getting, people cursing me out via DM doesn't really bother me. But when people are banging on my door, and
that's crazy. Is that
yeah?
How often did that happen?
Depending on what poll I'd put on my door. I'm not sure if you're really familiar with that, but I had this whiteboard that was on my dorm room door freshman year, and I started out with like, what's your favorite Jolly Rancher flavor? Put a tally when you walk by, just because I thought it would be something cool. But that was 2019 to into 2020, which was getting into like election season again. So then I started, do you support a wall at the southern border? Yes or no? Pro-life, pro-choice. I wouldn't even put my views, like I didn't write like what I thought, but people were so upset and offended by there just being a poll about it that they would, I would wake up and they'd like, curse words all over the board. People would write that. People would bang on my door. That was a little scary for me, just like safety wise.
Yeah.
Sophomore year was when I had people on Twitter threaten to dox my apartment number. They threatened to come, physically assault me. Not that I thought it was going to actually happen, but that was obviously a concern of mine as well. Especially because the person who was threatening to dox me claimed that he also lived in the same building I did. So that was like, oh, he might actually know where I live. So that was scary. And then the whole petition thing, I didn't really think that was going to... I didn't think that the university was going to take that seriously and actually ban me from the university. Like, I don't think they were calling for me to be expelled. I think the word that we used was banned. I didn't think that Point Park was going to do anything about that, but the fact that that got over 500 signatures was a little concerning to me as well. So, I mean, from everything I've experienced, I'm used to it by now. It still sucks that someone has to deal with that, but I'm not. It's not really a concern. Like you're entitled to hating me, and I'm entitled to saying what I want to say.
Have you ever wanted to stop?
In the beginning, yes, but now it's I'm too far into.
Yeah, I think you are.
to stop now.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, that's interesting because I wonder about that sometimes. Like I wonder if I'd be able to I think I would get a little. I think the DMs wouldn't bother me, because it's a person through a screen. And
Yeah.
I know they wouldn't they
And
wouldn't say it to me in person.
And especially the people who are doing it are people I've never met in person. So that wasn't a concern. When I started getting like my, I'm not going to say by name, but my roommate a couple years ago, when he reached out to me and was like, hey, he basically said, I don't want to associate myself with you anymore. That to me was a little much, because I was like, we've been friends for years. I was roommates with you. We lived together. So that was like, whoa, like that was kind of a serious thing to me. And I would probably cite that as an example of me being like, maybe I should tone it back a little bit, because I'm losing people that I thought were my friends. But yeah, when I'm getting messages from people from different schools or people who I've never met before, I'm not really too concerned. The petition thing was wild, and that was actually funny, because I was my roommates at the time that was going on, I lived with 4 other guys, and they all thought it was hilarious. Like, they weren't like, oh my gosh, like, you bigot, like some people are trying to get you banned from campus. But I signed the petition. I got all of them to sign it. I got my family to sign it.
Wait. You signed it?
In my head, I was like, if Point Park actually bans me, that's the easiest lawsuit win of my life. Like, I was kind of like, in the beginning, I'm like, shoot, this might go somewhere. And I was like, wait, what if it goes somewhere?
You signed it?
Yeah, no, I signed it. My brother signed it. All my roommates signed it. So I was like, that's the easiest, like, that's just like more opportunities for me to get media opportunities, and that's the easiest lawsuit in my life. I would be set financially for a while.
That's how you win.
Yeah.
In that situation, you sign it.
Yeah. I signed it I signed it the day it started. I think it was at like 70 signatures or something. I woke up the next day, it was at like 500. And I was like,
You signed it the
whoa.
first day?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
Well, it was funny because I didn't find out about it until after, like, I was getting a lot of like hate DMs, like leading up to my Laura Ingraham interview. And then I went on Ingram and I did my thing. And then after that, my phone was like blowing up in my pocket.
Yeah.
So right after the interview, I pull up my phone, and some of my friends that are still my friends right now, they were like, "Hey, did you see this?" And I pulled it up, and I was like, "Wow!" I was like, if only I knew about that before I went on Fox, that would have been the topic of discussion.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't even know about it until afterwards, and I was like, shoot, because I didn't know, like, my interview wasn't even live. Like, I was recorded like live with her, but they aired it the next day. So it's like, I was kind of nervous at that point, because it's like they didn't even hear what I had to say yet. Like, my Fox News appearance wasn't even live. So like, if they're this pissed off now, like, I can't imagine what things are going to be 24 hours from now.
Yeah. Do you feel that your identity has been taken over by your political activism? What are some things about you that you would want people to know that they wouldn't know from the news articles and the social media posts?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of other things that I'm passionate about. I mean, I love traveling. All throughout, elementary school, middle school, high school, I was a runner. I did cross-country track. That was definitely a big part of my identity. Something that I'm probably most proud of myself is that, I mean, a lot of people don't even know this, but in elementary school, I struggled with Tourette's a lot. It was like the hardest thing for me. I think that started in 2nd grade. I've got certain tics, like, tensing my arm up, like snapping. I would just randomly snap, humming, like blinking my eyes sometimes. People always thought I was like winking at them. I'm like, no, I just have a problem. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and then 3rd grade is when the stutter was really bad. Like, I couldn't go through a sentence without saying like a word like 14 times. Like, it was awful.
Wow.
But I did speech therapy and kind of got through that. And in high school, I was heavily involved in the Future Business Leaders of America. And I was elected state president, and I got opportunities to speak in front of like 7,000 people.
Holy cow.
So it's like I was able to go from not wanting to speak in front of a class because I was made fun of to taking the stage and walking around with a microphone and being a public speaker. So it's like, I'm not all politics. Obviously, right now it seems to be that way. But yeah, no, there are definitely other things that I do.
No, that's cool. I didn't know that about you, and that is really great. Do you ever want to unplug from all of it?
Yeah, I mean, right now I would like to, especially because the election cycle is, we got some time until all of that starts playing out. Obviously, during the election, I would like to get involved, and I am very outspoken. Right now, I'd be glad to take a break if everyone could just get along. I feel like I could stop taking stances on things, but it seems like every day you wake up, there's another controversy and there's something else, and it's like me being one of the main conservative voices on campus, like I'm like I probably should.
Oh, interesting. So you don't think you can take a break?
No, because if I do, it's just like, especially on this campus, it's just one side. Not that everyone's dying, not that all the conservatives on campus are dying to hear my take on things, but it's like...
But in a way, they would probably appreciate having a voice that
of course.
represents them.
And I don't only take stand, like I usually prioritize things I take stances on. Like if it's something I'm personally passionate about, like I'm definitely going to take a stance on that. If it's something that I'm just like, oh, if I don't say something about the Balenciaga controversy, then the conservative voice won't have a voice. It's like I'm not doing that.
Right.
But there are things that like I'm very pro-life. So if there's something that happens abortion wise, I'll probably take a stance on that, things like that. But I'm hoping that since we are a little bit away from the 2024 election, I can kind of take a break. But also being a journalist, I am heavily involved with politics on a day-to-day basis.
Right. So you wouldn't ever, because right after late June, I deleted Instagram and I just unplugged from everything for about
I would
2.5 months.
I would love to.
Why not? Why not
but
do it?
just because the field I'm in, I need exposure to that. Because a lot of the people I follow on Instagram go to different schools, and that's how I keep up with what's going on other campuses. Because I write about higher education like that. Like that's my bit. So I feel like it would be. I've always wanted to delete social media. I think that life would be a lot better, but that would kind of put me at a disadvantage compared to the hundreds of other correspondents I work with. Like that gives me a disadvantage on what news I'm consuming and what protest I'm getting exposure to and stuff like that.
Would you ever consider taking a break from politics and higher education to write about something else for a little bit, to try something new?
I don't see myself writing about higher education for the rest of my life. Upon graduation, I would love to go into I think the goal would be to write about politics or talk about politics. I don't maybe a break being a couple months, but I don't see myself taking a couple years and writing about doing like movie reviews or anything like that. Like
sports or anything like that.
I'm not even really a big sports guy either.
Neither am I.
So I think I'm stuck with politics, and politics is stuck with me.
All right. What's next for you after Point Park? What's the plan?
The plan would be, in an ideal world, would be to continue my work with campus reform. They've given me so much, and I think that I've really grown with them. So doing that full time would be great. Their headquarters is located in Arlington, Virginia, so I would be in the DC area, which is a dream of mine. And then as soon as I'm able to, get a lot done with them, I'd love to kind of work my way up. I think Fox News would be the end goal, but really anywhere that gives me the opportunity to use my voice. I think I would prefer doing more analysis and opinion stuff. But if that doesn't work out, I'd love to just, straight news report on politics.
You ever... Well, I was telling you, I was thinking like you'd go to the Daily Wire.
I know. Well, it's funny because you said that the other day. And I was like, why didn't I think about that? Because
in my to be honest,
doing this, like just being able to sit down and just like, oh, this is my opinion, and have people listen to you, like that's cool to me. So that would be the ideal, like doing a podcast or having. Like I'm not comparing myself to Tucker, but like what he does, like he's on a news station, but he gives his opinion on air.
Yeah, he has like his own show inside of it.
Yeah,
I was thinking like I would just keep it a stack with you. Like I'm not like crazy about Fox News, and to me, I'm thinking like you're too good to go over there. Like the Daily Wire, I think would be so much better for you or something like that. 'Cause you could have your own show.
The Daily Wire has really grown.
They're huge.
Yeah.
They're huge.
Especially with the and I know we're gonna get into Star Wars later, but I don't know what her last name is. Gina. She was in the Mandalorian.
Gina Carano, yeah.
She got booted from that show, and Daily Wire scooped her up and wants to do movies with her. So it's like they're definitely branching out a little bit, and I think that they're not at their full potential yet. I think that they're going to continue to grow, especially with the people that they're getting involved with. I think that there definitely is a lot of potential with that.
I don't agree with everything that they say or do, but
not at all.
I really appreciate their perspective, and I appreciate the content that they bring to the market, and I think that you can't deny that level of success. They make so much money, and they put out so much content, and it's clearly people like it. And I was a super big... I guess I have to premise this. I'm a fan of Jordan Peterson for his work as a psychologist and his work as an academic. When it comes to politics, not as much. Some of it, but not as much. I am a psychologist Jordan Peterson fan. So whenever...
I mean, he's a brilliant individual.
He's brilliant. And whenever he goes on the Daily Wire and he's doing like a breakdown of the Bible with a round table of scholars, like that I think would be really interesting to me. And whenever he's doing documentaries in areas that are the foundation of Western civilization, I'm also, I think, really interested in that. There's stuff I could maybe pass, but like when he does the stuff on like marriage and stuff, like I think that stuff's really interesting to me. So I love that they got a deal with him, because I think that they could really allow him to make content that he wouldn't have otherwise been able to make.
Just looking at the audience that because I have a lot of people who don't identify with like my politics that expose themselves to Daily Wire content. But looking at how many people they're able to reach, because you have the people that do the podcasts and their shows and stuff, and then the majority of the big names within the Daily Wire have college tours. So it's like they're getting so many different groups of people, and I think that's really, really great. Yeah.
Well, I guess we brought it up. This is a bit of a pivot. I think I was originally planning it to be the other way around, but then I kind of forgot about that. But we did bring up Gina Carano. So do you think I need you to give me your Star Wars ranking of the newer stuff? Like I need to know. Maybe we should talk about The Mandalorian first. What do you think about The Mandalorian?
I love The Mandalorian. I think that it's a really good mixture of new and nostalgia. I'm really worried with. Obviously, I love the older stuff, but like if Star Wars is going to do new, I don't want them to just milk all of the previous stuff that they've done.
Yeah, I agree.
So this isn't a spoiler because it's been out so long, but like
spoiler alert. Sorry, it's out there now.
If you haven't finished all of Star Wars, skip this part. But no, Mandalorian, like the end of the second season when Luke was there, like
that shit was cool.
It was amazing.
That shit was cool, man.
And it wasn't like he was only there for 5 minutes of it out of the whole, like I was worried that he was gonna be the main character of the whole show, but I think that was a perfect amount of like balance.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah,
and it didn't take away from the storyline that we were experiencing.
No, it was like the Darth Vader scene at the end of Rogue One. It was just that, but over
beautiful.
Again. And that's still like my favorite scene.
Because Rogue One is my favorite Star Wars movie.
Rogue One's great. I love Rogue One.
But like if they made Darth Vader like the main character of that whole movie, I would have been like, okay. But just having that little appearance, like
it's all you need.
It was nostalgia, but it made sense. Like it was an appropriate because it leads into the next movie, and that's Darth Vader is literally one of the first characters you're introduced to in A New Hope. Yeah. So it's like that was the perfect balance. It was a beautiful scene. It was very well executed. So I mean, Rogue One was a great film.
Rogue One's great. I thought Mandalorian Season 1 was fantastic.
Yep.
I thought Season 2 was solid. I still thought Season 2 was great. I love that they brought like the other Mandalorians into the show.
Wait, but you like Season 1 more than 2?
Season 1 to me is perfect. Season 1's a 10 out of 10. Season 2 I think is maybe still like a 9. I think it's been a while since I've watched it.
Yeah, I was going to say no, because I haven't seen Season 1 in a while. I did not like Season 1. Like, I thought it was good. I just think Season 2 was probably a little bit better.
I mean, you could certainly make the argument for that, yeah. But so then there was... Kenobi, which I thought was just... I loved it.
I'm hoping they don't do a Season 2. I
You really don't
no,
want you don't want more.
no. Like, what are they gonna do? Like where where they left off?
Hmm. No, that's actually a good ass point. They'd have to go like they'd have to almost like start over like it
Yeah.
did. They didn't really set up.
Yeah.
That's actually a good point. They
And
didn't really set
it's
up
like it was
anything.
hyped. This might be a little. I think it was a little bit overhyped.
Yeah, I could see it.
I
Yeah,
thought
could.
it was a good show. I was really happy with it. But I mean, it was just oh my gosh, Kenobi's coming back, and it was only 6 episodes, and it was. I mean, the storyline was good. I wasn't really a fan of Reva. I didn't really like that part of it. I thought it was cool that she was like a youngling. Like I didn't
Yeah,
really
that
see, I
part
didn't
was
see
cool.
that coming.
You know what it was for me? I think it was that like I think with her they were trying to write sort of an arrogant villain,
Yeah.
but they made her not likable. Like,
Yeah.
I think you can.
She wasn't
have-
likable.
I think the actress did a good job with the role, but I think in the writing it was like.
And then like
they
her
made-
like killing the Grand Inquisitor.
That was so stupid.
When you
just from
when you knew that he was alive during the like Rebels area of things. Like I was like that was kind of.
Oh yeah, I didn't even
Yeah.
think about that. Yeah, see, I didn't watch Rebels, but I knew he wasn't gonna stay.
I haven't
dead.
finished Rebels, but I've gotten far enough where I knew that he's in it, and I know that all takes place after Kenobi.
Yeah, well, and for me, to me when I first saw that, I was thinking like he is such a problem for them in Rebels that how is she just gonna like? Poke,
Yeah, no, for
and he's
real,
gone.
yeah.
It's just-
Like
it
it's
was-
such, especially with like Ahsoka being one of the main characters in Rebels. Like Ahsoka's definitely more skilled and trained than Reva is. So
yeah,
for
I
her
mean,
to
I would
just
imagine.
poke him.
Yeah. No, it didn't really make sense. And to be honest, like I, after that second episode, I was pretty worried. Legit,
Yeah.
like I was like, oh no, what is this gonna be? Sorry, but
No, but
yeah, I mean,
overall, Kenobi was good.
that last fight scene?
yeah, beautiful. The flashbacks,
the flashbacks
all
were
so
great.
good. The Order 66 flashback with the younglings, I did not see that coming, but that was
was all
something
great.
I didn't know I needed to see. I
Yeah,
didn't
I mean,
know I needed to relive younglings being
Yeah.
slaughtered, but
And then we had Book of Boba Fett,
that's pretty good.
which I'm not gonna lie to you,
It wasn't spectacular.
I sleep on Book of Boba Fett. I gave it a 6 out of 10.
I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like
You know what they did? They gave up on Boba Fett like 3/4 of the
it
way
wasn't
through,
even in
and-
the show.
And they were just
it
like,
was Mandalorian season 3.
Exactly. It was Mandalorian season 2.5 because there was an entire episode where Boba Fett wasn't in the show, and it was
Yes.
just an episode of the Mandalorian in the middle, and
Luke Skywalker more and Baby Yoda and
to anybody over because listen, the Star Wars executives, they listen to this show. And this is the documented fact I can prove. that's the running bit is that like, but they listen to the show. Listen, Star Wars executives, and anybody in Hollywood, if you want to make the most terrifying villain anybody has ever seen, take an old actor, de-age them with CGI, and then grab their voice with AI and then make a character. Because de-aged Luke Skywalker I had nightmares. It was so unsettling looking at
Yeah.
de-aged Luke Skywalker walking around with Grogu.
Yeah.
It was horrifying. I was like, this is not right.
well,
Not-
the change in CGI from Mandalorian season 2 to Book of Boba Fett was amazing.
It was
Like,
very good, yeah.
They did such a better job.
It
with,
was.
With
I
him.
imagine it was because it might have been a little last minute
Yeah,
or something. Or it was
yeah.
a short scene. But even then, I was unsettled by de-aged Mark Hamill with AI. I think it was AI Mark Hamill voice or something like they. It was. I was very unsettled by all of it. That's how you make a truly horrifying villain.
It's
for
like
me.
why was that storyline in Book of Boba Fett?
I
Like, it
don't
doesn't
know.
make-
That was
like
it was frustrating.
it was.
To me.
I mean, it semi makes sense because I think it takes place right after Mandalorian season 2. I think.
But like to me, they just abandoned the show and they just got people hyped for season.
And
3
then
of
it's like
Mandalorian.
bringing in Cad Bane and
just to get rid of.
killing him. Like I think seeing more of him live action would have been cool.
That would have been great because again, that's another character that was such a problem in the Clone Wars. He ran circles around everyone.
And him and Boba Fett had a lot of interaction. In
and then they just
Clone
showed
Wars.
up,
Yeah.
and it was just I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. Very few times have I been done watching a Star Wars piece of content and been disappointed. I think Episode 9 was a bit disappointing. Episode 8 was a bit.
I so much rated about Episode 9.
Episodes 9 and 8 were a little disappointing to me. I thought the
7
Force
was
Awakens,
disappointing. I mean,
that-
looking back, 7 is probably my favorite out of the
Easily.
sequels.
easily.
But just us having a 10-year gap from Star Wars movies, because I think Episode 3 came out in 2005.
Something like that.
But just there being such a gap, and then female Jedi, cool. But she
Lazy writing, though.
yeah,
Not a
no,
good character.
she didn't have much training, and she's just the best Jedi we've ever seen. And I just didn't like how quick she was with things. I would have liked to see a little bit more training.
See, I kind of liked that part.
It
Because
just
to me, I
doesn't
thought
make
it was
sense to me, though.
I thought it was cool because they always talk about like, oh, the Force is everywhere. It's a living thing, and it interacts in mysterious ways. So to
But
me,
just
I
her
thought,
her mastering it so quickly.
that's a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I could see that.
Unless like she's like a prodigy, which obviously we know like her family line now.
Granddaughter of Palp. That was the laziest thing ever.
Yeah,
I would have been way
but like
cooler to
but
me.
like her if her parents were some big things, then that would maybe make a little bit more sense. But
I wouldn't like that either. I think it would, but to me,
I wouldn't have liked it, but it would have made more sense.
yeah, no, to me, it would have been the coolest if they just brought in a female Jedi lead. Great, write a good character, and then just make her a badass for no reason, and just be like, because that's how the Force works. Like if it interacts in mysterious ways, like just make a nobody.
But then
really
like
cool.
I was a little upset because then you got the flashbacks of Luke training Leia. I thought that would have been cool to maybe see Leia take on the Force a little bit, but you don't even see that.
Yeah,
So
I think
it's
she like chose not to in the
yeah,
story, that kind of
yeah.
thing. But okay, and then we had Andor, which I thought was brilliant.
My favorite show.
loved it.
My favorite Star Wars
I don't
show.
know if it's my favorite still. I still don't know
Above
if I
Clone
can.
Wars. Above Clone Wars.
Oh, see, I can't do that. I can't do that.
It was so. It's just different.
No, it was different.
Well, that era of Star Wars is my favorite. Like the building of the rebellion.
Yeah, no, that part is the coolest. No, that part's definitely, without a doubt, that part's great. We were watching Andor together, Gavin and I. We just finished it a couple of days ago. I thought it was fantastic. I don't know if you remember this. I don't remember there being a single filler episode that I was not happy with.
I mean, like the first couple episodes, I could see
No.
were like pretty.
Yeah.
They did drop 3.
They weren't really like. I wouldn't say it was filler, but they were slow. Like there wasn't much action.
That's true. They did
yeah.
drop. Was this one where they dropped 3 right in
Yep,
the beginning,
yeah.
and you could have condensed like the second and third one into one episode.
Yeah.
Aside from that, episode 4 to 12, or there was 12
Yep.
episodes. It was 8 bangers in a row. Like I legitimately
And
had a good time.
it got better too.
It did get
Yeah.
better, absolutely.
And it was interesting because like they more episodes than I thought of them being in that prison system. But it all made sense
Yeah,
at the end.
it was kinda like
when
each-
you found out what they were building, I'm like,
I still don't know what they
interesting.
were building.
I'm pretty sure it was the Death Star.
Oh, see, the whole time.
Did you watch the end credit scene for Andor? Did you stay till after the credits?
There's an end credit scene for
It's like
Andor?
10 seconds. It's just the them putting the final piece into the Death
Oh yeah,
Star.
no, I think I saw that on Instagram. Yeah, no, I did.
But
Yeah.
even when they zoomed out of the plant, it looked like the symbol for the what's the word I'm looking for?
For the
The
Empire.
like stormtrooper, yeah, the
Empire logo,
the Empire's,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't think about that. I was wondering.
That's what the prison itself looked like.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's. I don't want to say that it's 100% what they were building, but I think that's what I took away from
I mean,
it.
that would make sense because they were building something like that. But
I was talking about Andor last night with some of my friends, and they're like, the fact that we learned that like Cassian Andor was building what killed him is beautiful.
that's crazy
It's
if you think
beautiful.
about that. If that is the Death Star, that's actually crazy. Yeah, it was cool because they, in a way, they made every episode was like a different story.
Yeah.
And they were all really short, but they didn't feel rushed. And
No,
it didn't
not at all.
feel.
And they all came together.
and they all
but
came
yeah.
together. Yeah, I thought that was great. I thought that.
the last episode was beautiful.
Wow, he made the Empire look like such goofs in that show.
Yeah.
He ran circles around them. No, I thought that Stellan Skarsgård was great. I'm a fan of his. Like any movie he's been in, I've liked. He was great as that character when he would switch back between like Luthen and then the jewelry guy. I thought that was really
the
funny.
actor who plays Luthen I like a lot too. So it was cool to see him in the
That is
in the-
Stellan Skarsgård.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that
okay.
is that he is Luthen and then he was the
Yeah,
jewelry
yeah.
guy. And I thought that was funny. That was like a cool little transition.
Well, I saw like I don't know if it's like an analysis or a reaction video, but it was it was kind of breaking down his reaction to seeing the hologram scene. And it was just him kind of like giving the smallest smirk, and they were like the fact that enough just shows that like, oh, like maybe I shouldn't kill Andor, I should work with him.
Yeah.
It was just such a subtle way of him kind of shifting over.
Yeah, they put a lot of subtlety in there. I thought that was really nice. And yeah, I loved it. I was kind of worried because after Book of Boba Fett, I was really disappointed in the end of that show, and I was thinking like, oh, I might start going downhill. For
How
a
did
little bit.
how did that end?
It was like, okay, I don't remember the names of any of the. It was the one crime syndicate was coming to Tatooine, which I'm tired of seeing, by the way. Can we get again?
I understand its significance.
Again, I understand that the Star Wars executives listen to this show weekly. Get Tatooine out of here. I don't want to see it anymore. The beauty of Clone Wars was that we were taken to a different planet.
I got nervous in Andor because I don't know if it was snow or sands, but when they swam to shore, they were on. I thought it was a sandy.
And you were like,
planet.
oh my God,
oh, not again.
No, but I'm tired of seeing Tatooine. I really am. But in the end of Book of Boba Fett, it was like the crime syndicate coming to like take over Mos Espa, and Boba was this is my territory.
And he was riding on the Rancor,
the giant,
or whatever they're called.
Yeah, and Boba and Cad Bane turned up, and it was this whole like weird
that
fight.
scene was so pathetic.
And then the Mandalorian showed up to like save the day, and then when they made, I knew that they were gonna have to like either make Grogu pick the Mandalorian over Luke, or that Kylo Ren was gonna have to kill him.
Did that happen in? Why did that happen in Book of Boba Fett?
Man, that part, when I watched that episode, I legitimately stopped watching it.
That episode, I think that episode was that the last episode, or
that was like the last two.
Was that the one that Boba Fett was not in it?
Yeah. Grogu picks Mandalorian over Luke with the little Beskar shirt, which was adorable. It was like a little Beskar. He picks that, and then he ends up going all the way back to the Mandalorian in the middle of the fight. And it's like, oh, it's so lazy, and it just felt like
it was.
I don't know.
It was it wasn't a bad show, but it didn't really seem necessary.
It started off great.
Yeah.
Episode 2, when he was like fighting on the train,
seismic charges going off were always a good sound to experience.
That was great, and I was really excited in that episode when they were trying to take over the speeding train. That was great.
Pirates or whatever.
Yeah, that was
chasing
great.
them on the speeders.
And I was so excited. And then the whole lore with the Sand People was awesome. And that whole thing
too. That was a good aspect.
It was great.
Of that
it had so much potential. And then for some reason I don't know whether they like got cut on time, or if they got like short on like money, or if they just got bored. I don't know what it was.
I remember thinking to myself, like, I never thought I would actually respect the Tusken Raiders, but
the Tusken Raiders are cool after that. Which that's cool. If you can take the bad guys and give them like humanize them, like that's great.
Yeah,
that's great. I love when they did stuff like that. But I kind of sleep on Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah,
like I was watching that stuff with my parents, and I was like
in
we
the
don't even have
rank.
to watch.
I'm trying to like ranking right now. For me, it would be.
I'm not talking movies, because movies like.
We didn't really get into movies that much.
Because I don't like the movies that much. None of them really. The original 3 are classic. The original 3
are good.
But like 1, 2, and 3,
I love Phantom Menace, and people hate me for that. I love that movie.
I don't hate you for it, but I'm just kind of like on Phantom Menace. I mean, you know.
Attack of the Clones I love too.
I haven't seen that movie in 10 years probably.
I just think it's the battle on Genesis that I like.
Yeah, that part's cool.
It's legendary. 3 is obviously good. I mean the 6 are good.
Episode 3 is so much of a meme that I can watch the entire movie and I get a meme for the different scenes of the whole movie. There's like I can go through the whole thing,
especially the last 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, there's so many. Which is kind of why that movie's maybe like it doesn't get on my list though.
Looking at the recent 5 movies that came out, like only one of them stood out, and that was Rogue One. Like Han Solo's not a bad movie.
No, Solo's fun, but it's not good.
Yeah,
it's just fun to watch. No, Rogue One is probably. I don't know if I can give you my top 5. I don't know. I loved the Clone Wars. The
Rogue
whole
One's my
show.
Okay, well, show wise, I'd probably go like.
I'm putting them all together. We're putting them all together.
All the shows
and the movies.
I don't know. I don't know if I can combine the list.
You're gonna combine them. You have to try. Do we count?
Shoot.
Do we count Clone Wars season 7 as a separate thing?
Sure.
Yeah. Actually, can we count just the last 4 episodes as the whole thing? Because the first 8 I didn't care about at all.
The
ones with the Bad Batch were okay. The middle 4 was the lamest arc in the history of Clone Wars. It was like, what is this? I don't know.
Every other episode was, oh no, C-3PO and R2-D2 got lost, and they need like. I understand you need some filler episodes, but when the majority of the season does not contribute to the story at all.
In Clone Wars season 1 through 6. There's probably 25% of it that are bangers.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because those are so good that it makes up for the other 75% just being filler. There's a lot of filler in Clone Wars, but it doesn't matter because when you get to certain episodes, Like when Obi-Wan Kenobi goes undercover and they go to the box with Count Dooku and it's like the game with all the bounty hunters. That's my favorite. That's my favorite arc in the Clone Wars. Those episodes are so good.
Well, okay, well, I'm gonna do separate lists first.
Sure, you can do separate.
And
lists.
then I'll combine because I just need to like. I would say Andor, for show, is my
Andor
favorite.
was really good. Yeah, Andor was good.
Then I'll do probably Clone Wars season 7.
Yeah.
Mandalorian,
Mandalorian was great. Yeah.
Kenobi.
Yeah. I'm not gonna break up seasons because then we're here all
Yeah.
day. We're here all day with that.
So what's that, 4?
Yeah, and then I think the only ones you got left are like just for disclosure, I haven't finished Tales of the Jedi yet. I only saw the first 2 episodes.
It was good, but I don't think it's top 5 worthy.
No, because they're just like little stories.
Yeah, it's literally
not really...
they're like I think they're like 12 minutes, like 15
the animation
minutes.
was
it's good. No, it's
insane.
definitely good. And it wasn't just like they just did it to do it. Like it added.
Yeah, it added depth to the story. Yeah, the episode with Ahsoka was like the second one. That was the last one I watched, and the animation was beautiful.
The first episode was Ahsoka too.
No, the first one was with Qui-Gon Jinn and Count Dooku going to that planet.
Well, the first episode of Ahsoka, I thought that one was a little slow. Like of her as a baby.
Oh, is Ahsoka in multiple episodes?
Yeah.
Didn't know. The one of her as a baby, that's the one that I watched. Yeah.
3 of them are Ahsoka and 3 of them are Count Dooku.
Really?
Yep.
Is there a particular reason why they did that?
And it's done in a weird
cool.
order too. Like it's not the first 3 are Ahsoka and the last 3 are Count
No,
Dooku.
it's
Like they're like
it's all split
intertwined.
up. Yeah, I mean that's kind of how Star
Yeah.
Wars. That's kind of how Clone
Yeah.
Wars did it.
I would say my 5th show might be which ones am I missing? Not Book of Boba
Rebels
Fett.
and
Maybe
Resistance. I never watched Resistance.
I haven't seen Resistance.
I heard it was kind of 5 out of 10.
And there's Visions. I haven't watched Visions either.
What is that?
It's like an anime Star Wars.
Oh yeah, no, we watched a couple of those our freshman year, and they were all right. They were.
I haven't watched
okay.
that. I
I'm not an anime
haven't
guy.
seen Bad Batch yet either.
Oh yeah, Bad Batch was like
I'll put Rebels at 5.
sure.
Rebels-
that's
Rebels is
that's
pretty good.
acceptable. Bad Batch was like 4 or 5 episodes in the beginning that were good, and then I swear to God, for 7 weeks it was fillers. There was so many filler episodes. They just kept going to a new place,
Yeah.
saying that they were going to do the same thing.
Well, with Rebels,
So many
the fillers
episodes.
are annoying too, because it's like, yeah, they're part of the like rebellion, but it's also like they do tasks for other people. So it's just people reaching out like, oh, can you do this shipment for me? And then they go
It's
back.
side
and
quests.
Yeah,
It's side quests.
Skyrim.
Why are we doing this? They're side quests. They really are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just wasn't really crazy about it. And the only scene of Rebels that I've ever seen is when Darth Maul goes to fight Obi-Wan Kenobi in the desert.
Yeah.
And Kenobi fucks him up. And it's such a good scene, but that's the only scene that I've seen from Rebels.
Well, I don't want to spoil anything then, because
I have no interest in watching.
There's
it either.
another. I think this is this has to be in Rebels. Well, there's a scene when Ahsoka is fighting Darth Vader.
I've also seen that one. No, I've seen that one too.
And
Yeah.
that's when she slashes his helmet, which to me is why I think I appreciated that scene in Kenobi so much.
Oh, because
that was
did
like
it
a
again.
parallel.
Yeah, no, that's cool. No, that's really.
I think it was
interesting.
opposite side. I don't know if it was the same. I think it was opposite sides of the helmet.
If
too,
it was
which
opposite
cool.
sides, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. If that was intentional, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess my list would be pretty similar, except I put Mandalorian over Andor. I love the Mandalorian.
I don't. I'm not like hating on Mandalorian
Oh, of course
at all.
not. But you like Andor more, which is fine.
It's just I don't know. Well, Rogue One's my favorite movie. I just like that era.
Also,
So,
yeah, no, Rogue One was great because it was Star Wars without lightsabers, which I think like that was
Star Wars without
probably-
lightsabers is beautiful.
It was probably not easy to do, but they did a really good
Yeah.
job doing.
And there wasn't a single lightsaber in Andor, and it was perfect. So
Oh,
you don't.
yeah. You know what? I
you
thought there
don't
were-
need lightsabers.
I
for
thought
Star
there was
Wars.
going to be one.
So I was nervous at that because I was like, please
Whenever-
don't ruin it.
Whenever the fact that Saw Gerrera was in Andor
Yeah.
was sick.
Yeah.
Whenever Luthen went to go see Saw Gerrera, he pulled out something from his coat and he gave it to the security guard, and I was like, "That looks like a lightsaber." And I thought maybe he was gonna like pull it out and be like,
Well, the
whatever.
whole Saw Gerrera thing is good because it's like I was also nervous that they were gonna milk that too much, but I think that was
It was
perfect.
perfect.
Yeah.
And he was in. Shoot.
Rebels or Clone Wars? He was in one
He
of
was
those.
in Clone
yeah.
Wars.
Yeah.
Was he in? No, he was in Bad Batch. He was in the Bad Batch.
Well, he was in one of the other ones too. Because
Yeah.
I haven't seen Bad Batch, and
He's
I remember
not in Clone
He
Wars.
was. I think it is Clone Wars.
Maybe
He's a lot younger.
maybe in one of the older seasons.
Yeah.
Then I don't remember that one, but no, he was in Bad. They mentioned him
I think
in
it's
Bad
like something
Batch.
like his sister died or something.
Yeah, I don't
I don't
remember anything
remember.
about him, but he's a really cool character.
Yeah.
He's
No,
really
but
cool.
like I think one of the things I liked about Andor a lot was like it was a lot more serious. Like
Yeah.
in some of the fighting scenes, like they didn't like overdo it with like loud music. Like it was literally heavy breathing, shooting.
That's
like, it
true.
was like
it was pretty
it
gritty.
didn't feel like Star Wars, but it was good.
It was gritty, but it wasn't too. It didn't take itself too seriously, but it was.
And then
very nice.
there's the one scene when they're on that beach and there's like a song that's playing. It's like club music.
Oh yeah,
And I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
how is this Star Wars right now?
But it is
yeah,
somehow.
and it was good. It was good.
My favorite detail from Andor was in the very first episode when the little droid, the Wally, I call him Wally because I thought he
Wally,
was
yeah.
Wally. He walks up and Cassian goes, "How much energy do you have? Can you tell a lie?" And he was like, it takes more energy for me to lie." And they didn't have to do that, but that is such a great detail that droids have to use more energy
Yeah.
to tell a
Yeah.
lie. Which is what
and that
humans
droid
have to do.
stutters, so I felt like represented there.
Which is what humans do. Like
Yeah.
it takes more energy for us to lie about something. And I thought that was really cool. Like it made him a very human character.
Yeah.
And they always do a good job making the droids like my favorite. Somehow the droids are always like in my top 3 characters for a show. They always do it.
How do you feel? I don't like BB-8. I don't know what you think about that.
I'm a BB-8 fan, but just like, okay, BB-8 in The Force Awakens, I forget everything after The Force Awakens. I
Yeah,
just don't.
fair
I just
enough.
don't recognize or remember any of it.
I mean, C-3PO and R2-D2 you can't really hate on, but
No, and there also R2-D2 wasn't in Andor, so his streak is over.
Oh,
because
no.
he was
He's
in
in
every
yeah.
single piece of content they ever made. He was in everything. He was in
C-3PO the same?
No, he wasn't because C-3PO wasn't in Kenobi, but R2-D2 was in Kenobi.
Wait, when?
Wasn't R2-D2 in Kenobi? At least in a flashback or something?
Maybe in a flashback. Well, R2-D2 was in Mandalorian season 2.
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so then maybe Kenobi ended his streak, but it was a pretty good run there for him. He was in
might have
everything.
been in a flashback. I'm just trying to think of when.
I thought I remembered seeing him somewhere.
Maybe. Well, where's R2? Like, what planet would have R2?
I thought there was a flashback to episode 3 before the fight
Well,
with him and Anakin.
He
and
would
there
have
was,
been with Leia?
I don't remember, but he was in.
Because C-3PO
Everything.
and R2-D2 were with Leia in A New Hope, which is when the whole.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either, but either way, he had a great run.
Yeah,
He was in
great run.
everything, and now
Imagine if they like
Streak's over.
blew him up. Like imagine if they killed off R2-D2.
you can't. You can't. I think there would be riots in the streets.
Yeah.
I would be sad. I don't know if I'd go outside and like hold a sign or anything like that, but I'd be pretty upset.
Rest in
I just
peace.
realized that this
All
entire
droids matter.
I just we're not doing that. We're not doing that. I just realized that this entire time, all of our listeners or viewers
If you guys want Wi-Fi.
they now have the Media Hub Wi-Fi. Huh. Well, it's not very good. I don't know, maybe is it? Are you using it? Are you using this Wi-Fi? Is it? How is it? Okay. Well, then we're pretty. Okay, we'll move on from Star Wars. That was fun. It was not as I don't know if people thought that was going to get controversial, but
I
think
thought we were gonna be yelling at each other.
I think
but-
in general, I don't know if I'm a very controversial person. I think I'm just kind of boring like that. Okay. All right, so we have some questions that we like to ask all of our guests at the end, or not at the end, but like toward the latter half, because I think they're fun. What was one small act of kindness you were once shown that you'll never forget?
You're talking like you want something that's like small, like
Yeah, just something small or random that you didn't think was going to happen, but you'll never forget it.
a couple months after I was on Fox, I went home to visit family, and my neighbor's son, who I'm not really like familiar with, like we're not like close. He was visiting his mom, which is the mom's my neighbor, and he saw my car in the driveway. So he walked over and he was like, "Hey, I noticed you were home." And he said, "I don't necessarily agree with you, but I just wanted to congratulate you on
that's
making
cool.
that step."
Yeah.
So like, I thought it was cool, one, because we weren't really close. So I mean, if it was someone who was closer, I don't want to say I would have expected that from them, but it would have made more sense. But the fact that he said that like he didn't agree with me, but
That's
is
cool.
still coming over to like congratulate me for
Yeah.
taking that step in my career was really cool.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it is cool. I do like that whenever people can admit that they don't agree with you.
Oh, yeah.
Because that takes, not that it takes courage, but it does take, I mean, it does. It takes a little bit of something in you to look at something or listen to something that you don't agree with,
Yeah.
and to be able to see the person that's behind the statement. I think that's great.
Like the whole thing I have with that, like if one of my friends like got an interview on CNN, like I don't agree with CNN at all, but that's huge.
Yeah, it's
like you're on
CNN.
national television.
Yeah, getting on national television at all is cool. That's an accomplishment for sure. I like that. When do you feel like the best version of yourself?
Interesting. Probably when I'm writing. It's not only cool to be doing what I like, but to like give voices to other people. I think that's like me serving my purpose in this world. Especially when I'm like interviewing other students who have dealt with things that I've dealt with. I think it's cool to be able to like let them tell their story, and the fact that I'm giving them the opportunity to do that, I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I was suspecting that was something along the lines that was going to be your answer, but I was still curious.
Yeah, well, like, one time I read an article about a girl who had people on her for like not writing, but like screaming about her views, and I wrote about that, and it got a lot of media attention, and she reached out like thanking me for it, and I was like, that's cool that I was able to make that happen for her.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, sticking up for people, I think, is something that it feels good whenever you're able to do that. In a philosophical sense, what are you most afraid of?
I don't know. Would death count?
Sure, of course it does.
Death scares me.
Yeah, that's a very valid answer.
Yeah, like not even like just the way it's gonna happen, but just like it happening, like knowing that is the end result, like that's the end. It's pretty scary. Obviously, I don't want that to be anytime soon. It could be, which I think that also scares me. You don't know when or how or where, but yeah, that's pretty scary to me.
Do you ever get nihilistic about stuff like that?
Meaning,
like it's all meaningless. You know, what's the point? I'm gonna die anyway. So like,
there are times that I do have that kind of mindset, but I don't want to say, like, I don't think it's in a negative way though.
Okay.
Like a couple years ago, I went skydiving, and it's like, you only live once.
I'd never.
Yeah. I never thought I would either, but I went on vacation with a friend, and we went to Ocean City, and I just know that they do a lot of parasailing and paragliding and stuff like that near there. And I looked it up, and there was one like an hour from where we were staying, and I was like, why not?
Let's do it.
Because my dad went skydiving a couple years ago, and he loved it. And I saw the video, and I was like, well, I mean, definitely step outside of my comfort zone, but you only live once, why not? And I had the best time of my life. I recommend that everyone tries it at least once.
Maybe I should try
it's
it then.
So thrilling.
Maybe I should. I just, when I see people jump out the plane, I can't.
Well, like my mindset's like, I'm not the one doing the jumping. Like as long as I get myself on the plane, like I should be good. And
that's true.
I wasn't nervous until they opened the door. Like I got on the plane.
Real.
I got on the plane. It was fun. We were flying up. Like I saw the boardwalk, all that. It was cool. And then they opened the plane, and the wind gusts in, and you're looking over. And as soon as they opened the plane, he repositioned me like to be out of it. Like my leg, my legs were dangling out, and I was like, "Oh shoot, this is real!" Like there's no backing down. And he did a backflip out of the plane.
Oh no! Were you guys going into the water, or were you guys going into like a field?
It was at it was a field.
Okay.
We were semi close to water.
Okay. Usually it is a field, but I was
because it
curious.
was Ocean City.
Yeah.
So we were right near the ocean. But
It doesn't really make sense to jump into the water because then you gotta swim.
yeah.
Unless there was a boat
And
to pick
you got
up.
the parachute, like the gear.
Yeah, weighing you down.
down.
Yeah, in hindsight, that was a kind of a stupid question to ask, but I was still curious. I didn't know
No,
how
I
to do it
mean
over there.
we were close enough to the water, but not like it being close enough for like if something were to go wrong, we would end up in the water.
Right.
Because we were at a I don't think it was like a airport where people like book flights and go places, but
Oh yeah, you probably can't.
yeah,
You
but
probably
it
can't.
was. I think the airport was specifically for skydiving
Oh,
or like
okay,
helicopter
gotcha.
tours and stuff
Gotcha.
like that.
So did that make you afraid of death in that moment?
Oh well, I didn't think I was gonna die. Obviously, sadly people do die from that, but
Yeah.
I didn't tell my mom I was going either.
Oof.
My dad knew because I was like asking him about it because he was the one who did it.
Yeah.
But I did. It was. I think the reason that I maybe thought of death a little bit was because I did call my mom before. Because I was like, if something were to happen, I should probably
Yeah.
let her know what I'm
That's
doing.
crazy.
Yeah. So she was a little pissed off, but everything was fine.
I mean,
I
she
had
has a right to be, I guess.
I had a ruptured eardrum, so I have a it's still not healed all the way, but
Ugh.
I have a little battle wound from that, but it definitely could have been worse.
That could have been a lot
Yeah.
worse. Yeah, I feel that sometimes. Like the idea of not being, the idea of my consciousness not being in my
it's
body.
it's just weird.
My brain can't comprehend it. Like my brain doesn't understand what that is. But I know, I
Yeah.
know what it is, but my brain doesn't understand it. If that makes any sense.
And kind of go like this is I guess semi on topic, but like something else that scares me is like Alzheimer's and dementia.
Oh yeah,
'Cause
that stuff is scary.
That runs
Yeah.
in my family.
Oh.
So,
okay. Yeah.
like me and my grandmother are very, very, very close,
Mhm.
and if that stage ever happens, like I don't know how I'm gonna be able to like handle that. So that's also
that stuff is
very,
tough.
very scary.
Yeah, I don't really know if there's much preventative stuff.
I
actually
don't
even,
think they're.
My parents would know. I could ask them, but I shouldn't speak because I have no idea. But I mean, if there is,
To my understanding, it's just like genetic, and like if it's in your line,
Yeah,
you're probably gonna
yeah.
experience that.
I think with Alzheimer's, there's some stuff that you can do like to help stave it off.
As a 17 season Grey's Anatomy watcher, I believe that there is medical prevention. Or
Oh no, I'll never watch Grey's Anatomy.
I never thought
I can't do it.
It's pretty good. I don't watch it anymore. I think they're on like season 19 now, but I've stopped.
I would never be able to commit to that.
My mom made me watch it, and it was because we watched The Office together.
I love
And
The
she was
Office.
like, I love it, but she was like, since I watched the show, you told me to. Now it's your turn.
Oh, well, that's fair.
But
I
the trade off,
guess.
what was it? 9 seasons of The Office or 10? 20-minute episodes,
I wouldn't call it an equal trade-off, but
and then you have 17 seasons of an hour-long episode. So definitely,
they're an
yes,
hour long?
Yes,
how many episodes per season?
20 some. Yeah, it's rough.
That's insane. That's too much TV show for
Yep.
me, I think.
Took me like 6 months of watching 3 episodes a day to finish it, but
Yeah, that's crazy.
yeah.
What thoughts keep you up at night?
Especially being a senior, it's like realizing that like real life is right around the corner.
Yeah.
Scares me.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously want to just jump into working or at least have a plan after graduation.
Yeah.
But like graduation is in 5 months for me.
Wow. That's
So
crazy.
it's like I don't have much time left to figure things out. Like in my head, I have an idea of where I want to go, but nothing is set in stone. I don't know if it's gonna work out. Things could change. So that's just scary knowing that like I need to like start prepping and planning for things to actually start.
Yeah, being an adult's so weird. Because I still feel like
I hate it.
I still feel like a kid sometimes.
Yeah.
I still kind of think
So do
that
I.
I
No,
am.
it's like Christmas is right around the corner, and my mom's like, "What do you want for Christmas? Send me a list." And it's like, "Yay!" But it's like do I ask for things I normally ask for, or do I ask for gift cards so I can get gas?
See, my brother was like Lego sets.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Yeah,
that's fire.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's well, I've been having this feeling recently, like it's so weird being an adult because I've come to the inclination that nobody has anything figured out. Adulting is just getting older and realizing that the people you
But it's
thought
like
knew
some
what was
people
going
do
on-
have things planned out, and that's why it's
very
like,
few.
yeah.
I've met very few.
But sadly, I am surrounded by those people.
Oh, yes, that
so
can be
it's like
tough.
I have friends who, like, one of my friends has a full-time talk show on a news station already. I have another friend who's like
Oh.
a reporter. I have friends who already are working with Fox, so it's like they are already on their
in that sense, yeah, I
Yeah.
guess I just meant how the
well,
world
not
works.
not like their
and-
life figured out, but they
Yeah.
are already on that next step.
They're on a path.
on their path.
So that could be
Yeah.
that could be kind of intimidating.
No, I'm on a path, but nothing's like I said, nothing's set in stone. Things
Yeah.
can change, so it's nerve wracking knowing that I still have steps to go to get to the point where people my age are already at.
Yeah, that could certainly be intimidating. I feel that sometimes. Just it's a lot of uncertainty, and it's not that I was ever like a homebody type thing, but being away from home was never really difficult for me. But sometimes it just all feels uncertain,
Yeah,
and it's tough to figure everything out in my head because that's all I can do in that moment is like I can just sort of strategize and do game plans, but
yeah.
I can't.
And it's like, for me, like I would love to like move back home and work and save a little bit,
Mhm.
but it's like in the field I want to go in, like you need to like jobs aren't at home. They're in DC,
No,
they're in
mhm.
Florida, they're in New York. So it's like if I want to enter the field, like I need to do it as soon as possible, and that means just jumping right into the workforce and not having a gap year of saving and spending time with family. Like it's like as soon as I graduate,
go time.
I mean, I'm not even sure if I'm gonna use the rest because I think I graduate in end of April. I think graduation is, and my lease is through the end of June.
Mhm.
So it's like I don't know if I have to find someone to sublease for the couple months so I can go, or if I have the time to,
Yeah.
you know. So it's being in the like news field is very fast paced, and I need to jump on it quick, or I may miss an opportunity.
Yeah, that could be tough. What do you think the meaning of life is?
Oh God, that's deep.
It is.
I don't know. I just like in general just to experience as much as you can. I don't think a lot of people have the opportunity to do that, especially with working and stuff. But just being able to just enjoy the time you have, whether that be. I mean, a lot of people do find work. I mean, happiness and pleasure in work.
Yeah.
But traveling, trying different things, just trying to get as much in as you can in your time here. I think it should be everybody's purpose, or at least something that people should strive to do.
What do you think it takes to be a good leader, and how can good leaders rise to the top?
I would say open-mindedness is probably the best trait someone could have, and that's not even just coming from a political or like news background, but like
An ideas background.
yeah. Like if news doesn't work out for me, like I'm a marketing and sales major, and there's a lot that goes into that. So
Yeah.
if my boss or if I'm a boss and I'm not open-minded about different perspectives, like that could make or break a sales pitch, or you know what I mean. So that I think open-mindedness would definitely be like the top trait that a leader should have in order to be successful.
Yeah, I like that. I agree with that a lot because also it could sacrifice the integrity of what you're doing
No, 100%.
if you can't be open-minded to other people's ideas. What advice do you have for young people? People who want to get into journalism, people that are just coming into college and who want to have a meaningful career.
Don't care what other people think.
I like
Because
that.
if I did, I would not be where I am right now. My whole career started off from reporting on something that the majority well, I don't know this for a fact, but from my understanding, the majority of campus supported and something that I thought was wrong. If I didn't do that, I probably wouldn't even be working with the organization I'm with right now. I wouldn't have been on podcasts. I wouldn't have been on the news. I wouldn't be getting paid for writing. Like I'm in college and I'm actually doing work that's paid. And if I was focused on what people thought, none of this would have been a reality for me. So I just think that like doing your own thing, as long as you can be respectful and using the word open-minded again about things, and as long as you are knowledgeable and you know what you're doing, I don't think there's a reason, risking offending or making someone upset if it makes you happy.
I like that. Well, thank you for taking time to sit down with us today.
Of course.
I appreciate you.
It was a pleasure.
Bye, everybody.